Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about inflation. Now, inflation is a fairly complex issue, so we're just going to kind of once again look at it from a very high level and hopefully make it make sense to everybody listening. So, first thing, disclaimer: this is purely for informational purposes. Hopefully, you guys learned something from it. The question of the day: what is inflation and how does it affect me? Most people going through life probably don't think that inflation really matters. They don't really see it affecting their everyday life. But as we'll kind of look through this, hopefully you guys will get a grasp of what it actually does to you and how it matters to you. So we're going to look at the time value of money review. We've got another video that goes into this in more detail, so we're just going to glance at it real high level. And then we'll jump into inflation and then kind of relate inflation to banking. So first things first, the review of time value of money. The idea that money now is worth more than the same money in the future. Like I mentioned, there's another video that I have that goes into a lot more detail on this. So we're just going to assume that everybody has watched that from now and look at it that way. Now, something we talked about in that is that inflation will affect this. So as time goes on, as you make money on your money, there is also inflation that essentially decreases the value of your money. So what is inflation? The simple definition is that over time, money being able to buy less. That's a very simple definition. A lot of people might have an issue with that, but that's essentially what inflation does. It makes it so that your money right now, you can buy less things with it in the future because it is worth less. So how does inflation impact my money? An example we'll use is movie tickets. So back in 1900, you could buy a movie ticket for a quarter. And then as time, inflation averages about 3% a year. So now in 2017, we have movie tickets that are, depending on where you are, $10, $15. One thing for certain is you cannot get a movie ticket for a quarter anymore. So the time value money example that we talked about, you have $100 now, 10% interest in a year, you have $110. The problem with that is inflation is also in there. So we say there's 3% inflation in a year, so you only have $107 of purchasing power. Now, purchasing power is an economic term that's kind of describe your ability to buy something. So in today's dollars, you have $107 of purchasing power. So inflation and banking. Inflation affects everything. So whether you have money in the stock market, you have money in a bank account, you have money under your mattress, inflation is affecting that money. So cash you are holding is losing value every year, and there's always going to be inflation. There could be something called deflation, which is the opposite of inflation, where your money actually gains purchasing power, but that does not happen rarely at all. It's usually not very good for the economy in general. A little bit of inflation is what the government shoots for and what the Federal Reserve tries to manage. So the important thing to note is that your investments are outpacing inflation. If you have an investment where you're only making 1 or 2%, might not be terrible, but you need to realize that on average, that 3% inflation, you're getting outpaced by it, so you're not actually gaining purchasing power even though you are gaining money. So your money goes up, but your purchasing power goes down each year because of inflation. So hopefully that made sense to you guys. It makes it a little bit easier to understand. We might throw out another more in-depth video of inflation because it's just such a huge issue. But here are some other videos that you might find interesting, and hopefully this helped you guys.